Recording in progress.
Netse Welcome, everyone. Can everyone hear me? Yay, we have sound. Thank you, everybody who's here today, taking time out of your day to being here with us. Today marks the 51st anniversary of Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut's capture from Penn Cove. Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut is the orca held at Miami Sea Aquarium. She's also known as Tokatai and Lolita. Our Lummi word for orcas is Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut, which means people under the sea. We believe that they are people just like us, and they wear killer whale regalia so that they can live under the water. Our ancestral teachings hold that they are family to us. Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut is our sister, our daughter, our auntie. To commemorate this, the Lummi Nation has issued a proclamation declaring today as Netse for Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut Day. Netse means one heart, one mind. I'll read the Lummi proclamation now. Whereas the Lummi Indian Business Council is the duly elected governing body of the Lummi Nation, Bellingham, Washington, and our Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut sacred obligation includes the protection of our Shlangen, our sacred sites, and all of the life native to the waters of Lummi, the Salish Sea and bioregion. Our ancestral teachings hold that Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut, people under the water, orca whales who share our Lummi home, are bound to us by spirit, culture, and family. For this reason, we held a snatang to give these Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut the Lummi family name Sk'aliCh'elh. And whereas the family is sacred to Sk'aliCh'elh as it is to our Lakhtamish people, whereas general trauma and the industrialization of Lummi has hurt Sk'aliCh'elh and families as it has hurt our own. Whereas each and every life of the Sk'aliCh'elh, like each and every life of our Lakhtamish family, is beloved and precious. Whereas Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut, a daughter of Sk'aliCh'elh, was stolen from us in 1970 and was sold into captivity, where she has languished ever since, missing her home, her mother, and all her relations. And whereas family reunification is healing and bringing Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut back to her Sk'aliCh'elh family and to ours will be healing. And whereas leading experts with the Lakhtamish cultural guidance have developed a comprehensive plan to safely and responsibly bring her home to Lummi, and therefore be it proclaimed that we declare August 8th, 2021 to be Netse for Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut Day, to recognize that many people around the world are of one heart and one mind in the understanding that Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut is part of our Lakhtamish family, and that we must bring her home in order to restore, protect the Sk'aliCh'elh families as we restore and protect our own. And that was passed on the 15th day of June, 2021. I also want to let you all know that we don't do this work alone, Sk'aliCh'elh and I. There are countless individuals and organizations all over the world that are supporting us, and we thank you all. Today's event is possible thanks to the dedication of our Netse partners. We'd like to Haishka to raise our hands up to 350 Seattle, the Bellingham Unitarian Fellowship, Earth Law Center, Earth Ministry, the Mosquito Fleet, Orca Network, Resources for Sustainable Communities, Sierra Club Washington, Stand.Earth, and the Whale Sanctuary Project. I also would like to say Haishka for our speakers today, who have taken the time to share some words with us. We are going to have filmmaker Taylor Reese, who has recorded a video earlier today in Miami. And we have Charlene Alec, counselor of the Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut Nation. And activist Anna Strand joins us from Sweden. Earth Law Center will announce winners from our Salish Sea Daughters Social Media Challenge, and will share some legal updates with us. And we have a short video by filmmaker Simon Schneider, who was recorded yesterday here on the Salish Sea. The Whale Sanctuary Project will share an overview of our operational plan to bring Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut home. And now, to start, we welcome the words of Leonard Forsman, President of the Affiliated Tribes of Northwest Indians and Chairman of Sk'aliCh'elh.
Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut. My name is Leonard Forsman. My ancestral name is Gui, and I am chairman of the Sk'aliCh'elh tribe and president of the Affiliated Tribes of Northwest Indians. And it's a great honor and privilege to be able to say a few words on behalf of this effort to bring Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut back to her ancestral home. And I'm here to speak on behalf of the Affiliated Tribes of Northwest Indians and the resolution that was passed at our annual convention on the Yakima Indian Reservation in 2018, 2018-32, which asks that the Miami Seaquarium return Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut or Tokate back to her ancestral home. As you're all very much aware of her capture and captivity. It's been going on for over 5 decades. And I'd like to thank all of the people from the Lummi Nation and beyond that have been pushing to have her reunited with her ancestral waters. And as you know, I've been very much involved both politically and culturally and spiritually with southern resident killer whales who have been present here for time immemorial and very important to the Sk'aliCh'elh people. And they are very important to the health and an indicator of the health of our greater Salish Sea. As you know, one of our traveling voyaging canoes, the Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut, is named for the killer whale. And we have witnessed them in our voyages throughout our waters, traditional voyages during travel journeys. And we've also had experience with the southern resident killer whales escorting our artifacts from our winter home at Old Man House when they were being returned to us on a ferry from Seattle to Bainbridge Island when those artifacts were being transferred from the Burke Museum back to our museum here in Sk'aliCh'elh. So we have a strong cultural relationship with them, and we hope that this process of working with the institution to reunite our ancestor back to these sacred waters will be part of a healing process where we can have her retired and back near her home. And this is, of course, very important for us, not only healing the harm of the past practice of harvesting and detaining these great creatures, but also of reestablishing our own particular cultural challenges that we have in our own communities, where our people were taken away and put in boarding schools, forced to attend boarding schools, primarily between 1900 and 1920, which we are still working on recovering the trauma of. And so we just see this as another part of the healing process that we're all going through as we re-establish and readapt our traditional relationship in our way of life to our waters. And those animals and fish and spirits that our Creator placed there for us to be sustained upon, and is so crucial to our culture and spirituality. So with that, it's like to once again say, hey ma, he squoy, to everyone for participating, and ahoy chud, I'm finished.
Hi everyone, my name is Taylor Reese. I'm friends with the Lummi Nation and also a documentary filmmaker. And at this moment I'm inside of Miami Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut. We've been coming to visit Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut. This is our 4th visit with her in the last couple of months, and we wanted to be here today to give her space, as well as our presence, our ears, our eyes, our heart, to just, listen to her and connect with her. There's an amazing group of people, both Seminole Nation as well as local prayer communities, who've been coming to visit with her and send her love and energy and prayers. And what we've been noticing over time is this amazing communication that's happening. Obviously, she's communicating in her own way, and people are really being called more than ever to connect with her and give her love. So yeah, we just finished her first show. She performs twice a day, every single day. I think she's been performing twice a day, every day for, 51 years now, which is difficult to really comprehend. But, today she, honestly, after her show, when I just went up to the tank and was connecting to her and listening to her, the message that I got from her was strength. I've been here before when it's felt like sadness or weakness or exhaustion, but today I really felt like she was saying, I'm strong, I'm here, I can make it, I feel you. So that was the message that I was getting. And we're here with Catherine, and her group who've been singing. And I actually just also want to share with you guys a story from the last time I was here, which was about a month ago. So my partner Renan and I came and we filmed her show, just the two of us, kind of secretly in the crowd. And we got to know all of the cues that she's given and then the tricks that she does. So some of the big ones are and we're gonna tell the audience how easy it is for us to take blood because we're also her doctors, and she flips up her tail and shows her tail. And then there's another section where she's Lolita loves to talk, and she gets up and she squeals and talks. And so that was happening, and we documented that show on a Friday. And the next day, on Saturday, we visited her with many members of the Lummi Nation who were there, actually a part of the Red Road journey to DC, bringing the totem through Miami. Doug and Siamawit and Melanie and many others. And so we came into her aquarium that day for her show, and half the people went on the left and half the people are on the right, and just created this big holding of energy and family around her. And before the show, I went up to the tank and she came up to me, and you could just tell that she knew everyone was here for her. She was talking and breathing in these big gulps of air around everyone who was singing for her, so you could tell she was just receiving sound and love. And then the craziest thing happened. The show started, and you could just tell something was up, and she wasn't behaving like she had been the day before for the show. And all of a sudden I noticed that they gave her the cue to put her tail up, and she didn't do it. She completely refused. She was resting in the presence of family. I saw the trainers run off the stage to talk about what they were going to do, and they were in the corner conferring, and Tokatai, Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut, was off in the corner just resting, just being in the presence of family, knowing that she wasn't there to perform. She was there to be held and be taken care of as family. And the next cue came, and it was, Lolita loves to talk, and she was not having it. She wasn't talking. She just rested. And then I watched this silly feat go down where the trainers like pretended nothing was happening and were like, do you know some facts about orcas? And did a little song and dance, and they shut down the show. She had performed one of her 20 tricks, and you know, the message that I take away from that is that she's speaking, you know, obviously, but now we're seeing it, we're really listening. We can carry that story with us and share it so that people understand that it's not just our perspective of what she's going through, but there's a space for her voice to be present in this conversation. So thank you so much for supporting her, for everything that everyone in this group is doing, from the sanctuary to the lawsuit, to all the members of the Lummi Nation and all of the friends and allies in this fight. Yeah, just I can just share with you that today she feels strong, that she's sending her love, that she was present, she knew we were with her, and it felt really good to be with her here today. So thank you again.
Is it me? Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut, Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut, Misteo at the Lummi Nation. Thank you for having me, and thank you for holding the space. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm having technical difficulties here. Yeah, I'm back on.
Yep.
Okay, my apologies. I was trying to pull up the statement again. Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut, thank you to the Lummi Misteo. Thank you for holding the space, not only for Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut, but the rest of our relatives up here, up at Sk'aliCh'elh Nation, as our relatives shared this territory in the Salish Seas. We haven't recognized the border that's put between us, and the blood that runs between us has never been unaltered or surrendered to either of our governments. So when we see our relatives, we're obviously gonna, feel that in our hearts and through our families and through our systems, that will definitely, be there in any way we can. And in signing the proclamation and standing shoulder to shoulder to have one of our relatives be brought back home, I'm honored to share with you the standing in solidarity statement that has been put out by the Lummi peoples to help Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut come home. And in sharing this proclamation, really wanting to share the information and open the eyes up to the rest of the people of the need. If you saw the video and how alone and the need for her to come home is so important. Two members of the Lummi Nation, Sk'aliCh'elh and Tamas, are working to bring Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut home. In August of 1970, Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut was violently stolen from her home and family in the Salish Sea. September 24th will mark the 50 years of her being imprisoned in a painfully small tank at the Miami Sea Aquarium, where she is the star attraction and forced to perform daily. The Sk'aliCh'elh people of Lummi Nation are Indigenous peoples of the coast and northern Washington and southern British Columbia. Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut is the member of the Sk'aliCh'elh, the resident family of the orcas who call the Salish Sea home. The Lummi term for orca is Kolholmichin, which means our relatives under the water. The Lummi and their Kolholmichin have lived in the community with one another since time immemorial, and teachings indicate not only deep culture and spiritual connection between Kolholmichin and the Lummi people, but also kinship bonds. The Lummi Nation never consented to and was never even informed about her abduction. Today, the lasting effects of the colonialism that decimated both Indigenous and Orca populations in the Pacific Northwest is being felt culturally and environmentally. While the release of Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut would be justice for her, it would also be justice for Indigenous peoples of the Salish Sea. Because of the heart of the matter lies a great disconnect between the culture and law that must be rectified. Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut's taking and prolonged holding at the Sea Aquarium is the direct violation of rights defined under the United Nations Declaration of Rights of Indigenous Peoples to maintain distinct and social cultural institutions, redress for any action which has aim or effect of depriving them of their integrity as distinct peoples of their cultural values and ethnic identities. Manifest, practice, develop, and teach their spiritual religious traditions, customs, and ceremonies. Maintain, protect, and develop the past, present, and future manifestations of their cultures. Participate in decision-making in matters which would affect their rights. Maintain and strengthen their distinctive spiritual relationship with their traditionally owned or otherwise occupied and used lands, territories, waters, and coastal seas, and other resources to uphold their responsibilities to future generations in this regard, and amongst others. Access to and prompt decisions through just and fair procedures for the resolution of conflicts and disputes with states or other parties, as well as effective remedies for all infringements of their individual or collective rights, such as decision shall give due consideration to the customs, traditions, laws, and legal systems of the Indigenous peoples connected and international human rights. All these undersigned peoples stand in solidarity with Sk'aliCh'elh and Tamaz and call on the Miami Sea Aquarium to bring Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut home. The Miami Sea Aquarium and its owners must recognize the Indigenous rights of her Lummi relatives. The Lummi people are one of the original inhabitants of Washington State's northern coastal region and view the southern resident orcas as family members whose history, experiences, and fate are beautifully interconnected with their own. And if you can see on the website or on the page and look at the solidarity statement, there are many international and global supports, signatures that support this initiative to bring Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut home. That is the statement of the solidarity of standing together. And just on a personal note, being in a leadership program or being in a leadership position up here in Sk'aliCh'elh, I really stand for the work that Lummi has put in this, because the work that Sk'aliCh'elh does is to be stewards of our territories and to protect and look after and be caretakers of our lands, our waters, and our territories. To be an Indigenous woman, to be an Indigenous peoples, and in the position that I am, my lineage does not end at my skin. My lineage does not end at my fingertips or my toes. My lineage goes into the salt water, the whole Salish Sea. It goes into the lands and into the air. We don't see that border. It doesn't stop. My Salish Sea roots does not stop at that border. So what I do here and the work that we do here as a nation and in the work that I do with the Sacred Trust Initiative does not end just within our territory. And that's how we're connected. So what happens in the Salish Sea, what happens with all the beings that are in there happens to me as well. I know it happens to Tamas and Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut and their families and the ones that are yet to come. So this protection that we have to bring our children home, and I know it's been on the news, the recovering of graves up here in Canada and the effects that has. This is a little bit of the reclamation that we want to see and the healing that we want to see. When our children are taken away and they were buried somewhere else, we want them to come home. Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut is still alive. She's well and she's strong. She wants to come home. And this has to happen in the light of everything that's happening globally in Indigenous territories, the taking of women, the children, and the police brutality, and even the Black Lives Matter, and those things that come into play of the colonial onset of our Indigenous ways of life has to stop at some point. And it has to start to be reclaiming back to the rightful stewards of the land and people who know how to caretake. The songs that she sings are the songs that her grandmother sings here in our Salish Seas. They come to visit. And sometimes I too, seeing that video, feel that sadness until we know she is back home safely. Can we be rest assured that our job has been done? So your signatures are not just something on a piece of paper. It's upholding that law, and it's upholding our rights as Indigenous people. And I can't thank Lummi enough, from our hearts, for not only holding this space here today, but for carrying on the work that you're doing and giving that strength back to Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut, because one day we will be together. Maybe not, not this moment, but I still feel in my heart one day we will be together and we will feel like we've done all this work to be at that place. So, Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut.
Hej på er alla. Mitt namn är Anna Strand och jag bor med min familj i södra Sverige. Första gången jag hörde talas om Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut var i maj 2020. Det var ett mäktigt och känslosamt ögonblick. Jag visste direkt att jag aldrig skulle bli riktigt ensamma och jag kände att jag ville göra vad jag kan för att hjälpa henne. När jag hörde att det svenska företaget EQT är ägaren kände jag att kopplingen mellan mig och Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut blev ännu starkare och det gjorde mig ännu mer hängiven att hjälpa henne. EQT har enligt mig en ganska djärv statement of purpose när de säger att de vill göra gott i allt de gör. Med Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut har ni EQT en möjlighet att visa vad ni verkligen menar med de orden. Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut har hållits i fångenskap i 51 år. Låt henne tillbringa den tid hon har kvar med sin familj i frihet. Sverige är känt för de typiska svenska idealen såsom jämlikhet och rättvisa.
Och Sverige är också känt för att vara ett land som ofta både försvarar och tar täten i frågor som involverar såväl mänskliga rättigheter som djurens rättigheter. FNs urfolksdeklaration och EUs djurskyddslagar säger att det är fel att låta Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut stanna i fångenskap. Jag uppmanar er EQT att ta del av opartisk information och fakta som kommer från källor utanför Miamis Aquarium eller Parker-Nidos. Jag hoppas att ni vill lyssna på de marinbiologer och späckhuggarexperter som tillsammans har utarbetat en detaljerad plan för hennes transport och rehabilitering. Jag hoppas även att ni ser ett värde i att kontakta Lumi-folket och tillsammans med dem arbeta för att Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut ska få komma hem till Salish Sea så snart som möjligt. Människor runt om i världen hoppas, ber och väntar på att ni i EQT ska hjälpa Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut att få komma hem. Jag tror att jag talar för alla som vill se henne fri när jag säger att EQT kommer vara vår hjälte om ni väljer att hjälpa henne tillbaka till ett liv i frihet. Jag kan inte tänka mig något finare än att hjälpa ett barn bli återförenad med sin mamma och andra släktingar. Det, enligt min mening, är att göra gott. Från djupet av mitt hjärta, EQT, hoppas jag att ni håller med. Tack. Hi everyone, my name is Anna Strand. I live with my family in the south part of Sweden. The first time I heard about Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut was in May 2020. It was a very powerful and emotional moment. I immediately knew that I would never be quite the same, and I knew I wanted to do what I can to help her. When I heard that the Swedish company EQT is the owner, I felt that the connection between Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut and I got even stronger, and it made me even more dedicated to help her. EQT have, according to me, a pretty bold part in their statement of purpose, saying they want to do good in everything they do. With Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut, you, EQT, have an opportunity to show in action what that statement really means to you. Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut has spent 51 years in captivity. Let her spend the time she has left with her family in freedom. Sweden is known for the typical Swedish ideals such as equality and fairness, and Sweden is also known for being a country who often both defends and takes the lead in issues that involve both human rights as well as animal rights. The United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples and the European Union Animal Welfare Laws says it is wrong to let Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut stay in captivity. I urge you, EQT, to take part in unbiased information and facts that come from sources outside of the Miami's Aquarium or Parker-Nidos. Orca experts have prepared a detailed plan for her transportation and rehabilitation. I hope that you, EQT, will reach out to the Lumi tribal members and work with them to bring Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut home to the Salish Sea as soon as possible. People around the world are hoping, praying, and waiting for you, EQT, to help Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut come home. I think I speak for everyone who wants to see her released when I say that to us, you will be our hero if you'll help her get her freedom back. I can't think of a more beautiful thing than to help reunite a child with her mother and other relatives. That, to me, is doing good. From the bottom of my heart, EQT, I hope you agree. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Grant Wilson. I am the Executive Director of Earth Law Center, and we are the legal team representing Lummi elders in their quest to return home Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut. I'm going to give you just a few quick updates today. The first about a Twitter challenge, and the second about some communications and legal strategy moving forward. First, with the Twitter challenge, if you weren't following it, basically we had a competition where whoever could get a retweet from a celebrity with the most followers won a prize. You had to use the hashtag Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut, which I encourage you to keep using. And the project was a big success. Before I announce the winners, I just want to note a few of the numbers here. We had over 2,000 interactions. We reached 1.3 million people. We had 1.5 thousand shares, about 700 likes. This was a huge success and brought in a heck of a lot more people into the campaign. So congratulations to everyone involved. Now into the winners of the prizes. In first place, we have Howard Garrett. He got a retweet from Holly Marie Combs Ryan, an actress with almost 1 million followers. In second place, we have Dr. Paula Powers, and she got a retweet from Bret Easton Ellis, who is an author who wrote American Psycho and other books. And in third place, we have Orca SOS, who got a retweet from the Orca Project, which has just shy of 40,000 followers. So we'll get in touch with you all about the prizes. We'd also like to make an honorable mention to Carla Salter and to Kelly Shanahan, who were close runners-up. And with that, I want to give a brief update on legal and communication strategy moving forward. Without getting into any details, we're not totally optimistic that the Miami Seaquarium will change their tune anytime soon and listen to Indigenous voices and the other advocates that are fighting for Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut in the courts through the court of public opinion, through advocacy, and through other means. And so we hope to continue doing outreach and incorporating the Miami Seaquarium into all of our advocacy strategies and legal strategies. But we also want to continue to target their parent companies in Europe, EQT and Parques Reunidos, who are also culpable for this atrocity. And some of the messaging, I just want to reemphasize that I hope you use in some of the advocacy strategies include the following. Primarily is the point that the Lummi people have a cultural right under the Declaration of the Rights of Indigenous Peoples, UNDRIP, to have returned to them a sacred family member who's deeply ingrained into their culture and beliefs, and that failing to do so is an Indigenous rights violation. I think we also need to continue highlighting that the Native American Graves Protection and Repatriation Act, or NAGPRA, requires the return of sacred objects that were taken from Native Americans, as is the case here, because Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut is sacred to the Lummi people. Of course, there's basic animal welfare concerns. Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut is in the smallest orca tank in the world. She's suffering in the hot Miami sun, and she's not getting any younger. It's time to retire her, not just because of animal welfare, but also because of her own rights. She is a living entity with her own rights. She's intelligent, she feels, she suffers every day for the last 50 years, and it's time to respect her rights and bring her home. We must bring her home because it is the right thing to do. There's reconciliation going on, just beginning with Indigenous peoples all over the world and in the Pacific Northwest, where we've read recently about many of the atrocities committed against Indigenous cultures and their children. And this is no different, where something sacred to Indigenous peoples, to the Lummi Nation, was taken from them without their permission. And they're asking that it be returned. And they're asking that the companies involved listen to them. And I think if I have one message to those responsible for Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut, it's listen to Indigenous voices. Maybe 50 years ago, you didn't, but it's not too late. It's not too late to do the right thing. It's not too late to respect Indigenous beliefs and customs. It's not too late to bring Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut home. And we have the legal, cultural, ethical, and scientific backing to make that happen safely, effectively, and promptly. And so I hope this was helpful in everyone's mission. Thank you for, again, inviting me here today, and best of luck to all of those who are joining us on this journey. Bye.
Here we are another year. Every year we pray that this is the last year we'll have to hold an event to build awareness and support to bring her home. This has got to be the last year of 51.
51 years away from this water,
Away from her mother.
away from her family, from where she belongs. And she's got to remember this because she was 3.
I think when she hears the water in her tank, touches something on her spirit that keeps her hopeful, because to be in captivity 51 years and still have the strong spirit she has, something is keeping her hopeful, and I think it's the sound of the water.
She hasn't given up.
No, she hasn't.
She remembers. She remembers this water. She
Yep.
remembers where her home is. And my hope is that we get to bring her back home and put her back in these waters, somewhere out in these islands. Because I know personally myself, we do live on the reservation. It was a village site, but that's our home too out there. Those are our village sites. That's where our ancestors are from. And when we get out there on the water, such a feeling comes over you. It doesn't matter what kind of day it is, you can breathe. You feel at peace. You feel at home.
That's the ancestors touching her spirit.
That is exactly what I want for her.
Yeah.
I want her to know she's home. And home is still there. Home, 50 years later, it's still there for her. Her family's still there.
Yep.
Her mom is still out there. It's time for her to come home.
You're right. When we touch the water, we smell the air, we feel the rain, the breeze, even the sunshine. It's that connection to our ancestors touching our spirit and reminding us that this is our home. And it is what we need to do, is to bring her home. And we will. And then her spirit will soar. And I believe her mom will feel her when she's back in the water. She'll know.
And it'll be our way of undoing a wrong that was done to them 51 years ago.
Yep.
We can let them know we're sorry, and we're trying to make amends.
Yep. And late Sk'aliCh'elh told us it's our sacred obligation to heal the Salish Sea, heal the salmon, heal Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut, and then we'll be healed.
Yep.
You know, that's what we keep going in our hope and our spirit, are those words from him that he interprets from the ancient ones, from the ancestors, and has now given it to us as his legacy.
To carry on.
Yep. Miss him, love him.
He's still here. He is here on this beach.
Maybe that's the lake shining through.
Hello, I'm Charles Vidic, the Executive Director of the Whale Sanctuary Project. And I want to tell you how privileged we are to be working hand in hand with Sacred Sea and Lummi elders to develop a comprehensive operational plan that's grounded in the culture of the orca, the tradition of the Lummi, and it's built on science. This effort has been led by Jeff and Katie Foster, and we've included in the development of the plan experts from a number of disciplines. Disciplines such as people in the captive care facilities, marine mammal veterinarians, pathologists who are experts with marine mammals, wild orca field researchers, people who are steeped in the Salish Sea ecosystem, and many of our own team at the Whale Sanctuary Project. And our objective has been to create a plan for the safe and responsible return of Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut to her natal waters, while following best practices for the well-being of her, Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut, for the southern residents, for the Salish Sea ecosystem, and for the people of the Salish Sea. Now, I just want to tell you some of the components that are included in this comprehensive plan. It starts with a comprehensive evaluation of her physical and behavioral condition at the Miami Seaquarium by veterinarians and qualified experts. Upon understanding her condition, then she would be part of a transport back to the Salish Sea, and there would be a monitored conditioning plan in advance of any transport and throughout the transport. The plan also includes plans for every leg of the journey, every leg of the transport from the facility at Miami Seaquarium back to her lovey home, the L'Omitokwa. It also includes protocols for Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut's on-site care once she arrives at her Lummi home. These protocols address her initial introduction to the habitat and the transitional phase of her acclimatization. It also includes her long-term ongoing care, her medical care, her enrichment on a daily basis, monitoring every day what happens with her, creating daily marine operations, all of which are part of the protocols, and security for her Lummi home. It also includes emergency and risk management plans for each of the components of the plan. It's developed an overview for her L'Omitokwa, her Lummi home in the Salish Sea, and a comprehensive review of potential ecological risks and mitigation strategies. So with that, John, if you could show the animation of her L'Omitokwa, her Lummi home. So you're seeing that this is a dynamic area. It's netted and closed, but it enables an acoustic connection to the Salish Sea. It enables her to hear all of nature and be part of nature while she's still well protected and taken care of. She has much more space than she's had at any time in the last 51 years. 100 feet wide, 250 feet long, and 30 feet deep, allowing for active swimming and physical fitness. It's natural ocean water, no chemicals, no ozone. And this facility is species appropriate for her. This is her natural water. It's a dynamic and stimulating environment, while at the same time, it enables us to provide 24-hour, 7-day, 24-hour, 360 days a year care for her. So she's well cared for, she's well protected, and yet she's home. Now, just a few things in closing about Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut. We think of her now after these 51 years, but she's actually been one of the oldest orca in captivity from her very first day, since she was captured at such a young age and because of the shortened lifespans that orcas live in captivity. As we saw in the film earlier today, she exhibits a strong will to survive. She continues to be this remarkable animal who's strong with will and spirit to come home. Keiko, who I had the privilege of working with Jeff on more than 20 years ago to reintroduce to the wild, was also one of the older male whales ever in captivity. And yet, when we brought him back to Iceland, he was able to thrive in the years in his native waters. We expect that Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut can also thrive in her natal waters. So in this way, this is a plan that integrates culture and science. It's approached in a thoughtful and responsible manner. And it's been a privilege for us to work hand in hand with Lummi elders, with Sacred Sea, to develop this plan. And we look forward to working to implement the plan, hopefully in the coming days. Thank you very much.
Netse, Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut, Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut, Chuck Lummi son. Hello, my respected family and friends. My name is Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut Morris. I'm from the Lummi Nation. I want to raise my hands and say, Haishka, thank you to all of you that have supported her, both spiritually in prayer and financially with your donations, and to our partners that walk this path with us to bring her home. Your donations have allowed us to fund this operational plan. So Haishka for that. We also want to say our hands are out and open with respect, and a Haishka to Parques, to Miami Seaquarium, to EQT. Our hands are open and extended to you with respectful requests to partner with us to bring our daughter, our relative home to a Lummi plan developed to begin fundraising to ensure she has the best quality for her health, for her continued rehab, for her spirit, so she can reconnect with her culture, with her song, and with her spirit to be strong. So we ask you to please join us in fundraising for Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut's her Lummi home. And if you will follow our work, and your donations can be made at the sacredsea.org Tokatai Fund with the Lakhtamish Foundation. And to close, it's been an honor to be with you all today. We have our chairman, Lawrence Solomon, and the Black Hawk Singers. They created a song called "A Mother Looking for Her Baby." Hi, Shkasiam, Nostalgia.
Thank you.